We ready? All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Gull Lake Trail Steering Committee of Nisswa's on the June 8th. And everyone is present at this time except Mark Granai, our city administrator, is with us tonight, Jenny Mack. So at this time, we will begin with approval of the agenda. I do have a couple of additions to the agenda under open forum. Being that there's no one here, I would like for Amber to give a kind of an update on the construction, any safety or complaints that you know of at this point, and also what's going on with the Copper Creek Junction. There seems to be nothing at that junction that's looks like it's under construction. So that would take the place of open forum. Under new business, I'd like to get an update from Amber on the trail parking lot in the Nisswa Park, the Nisswa Lake Park. Everybody know what I'm talking about? Okay.
Say that again.
Okay. Within the Nisswa Lake Park, I believe there is a proposal for a parking lot.
Oh, yes.
I think we need an update on that and that's coming from the Park and Rec department, right? Under old business, you're going to give us an update on your meeting with the police chief. That's it for the updates, directions, and agenda. I'd entertain a motion to approve. Any? I'll move. Okay, second. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Motion carried. Okay, we are ready to approve the minutes. This would be the amended minutes that were sent out a couple days ago. Did everybody have the amended minutes? Okay, has everybody had a chance to read those? Amended obviously is that portion in reds that we spent some time talking about some topics that were not exactly in the draft. I felt needed to be highlighted. Okay, I would entertain a motion from anyone.
I move to approve the meeting
Motion
minutes.
by Tessa, second
I'll second.
by Paula. Further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Okay, Amber, you want to give us kind of a summary update on are things going good? Are we on schedule?
We are on schedule. So things are progressing kind of as expected, considering the weather, the lovely weather we've had. So it is moving on schedule. I think some of the slower points have kind of been the utilities, but they continue to progress through and continue to do what they can. And a lot of the class 5 has been laid down already. And so they're making good progress. There are spots that they do have kind of bypassed and will come back to. So Copper Creek, that intersection there is one of those spots. Some of the pedestrian crossing areas in the concrete that is anticipated to come up soon. But some of the areas have been hopped over and they will come back to them.
Okay,
Utility removals or replacements going on schedule, or is there some delays there? And it looks like that's where they're hopping pretty much.
They're working on it, so I don't know if it's really in the grand scheme of how it's affecting the entirety of the project. They're still moving through everything and that's on track.
Okay.
In terms of Roger, your second question on that of like complaints or safety concerns. We talked at our last meeting about how law enforcement presence and signs were put up. There's still, it's still a lot of commotion out there, and there's we do get calls every once in a while and we try to address what we can within our control and and then there's law enforcement and trying to move the speed trailers and so various steps like that have been.
There's still some traffic issues, that, need to be addressed, and that is speed. I've sent an email to the police chief about it. What do you call them, where they?
Radar.
The trailers have not been moved. They are on a straightaway. And if you drive along there, you'll see that people see the signs from a long distance, so they put their brakes on. I drive this road every day and I live on it. And it should be so what's happening is there's no trailers for people coming towards the east. And they come up where I live and they come around the curve and they accelerate coming up that curve. And they're coming past my house, many of them in speeds excessive of 30 miles per hour. So it really, I don't know what else can be done about it. We expected the traffic flow, that's not the issue. But they do need to slow them down because the people that live across the street in the townhouses, that is a completely blind corner. And I saw somebody the other day that almost got, hit because of that. So I guess, maybe if the police sat there, they're welcome to sit in my driveway and observe what happens. Or if they had a presence more around that curve area, maybe that would slow people down. And Memorial, with the 4th of July coming up, they really need to address that.
So you're thinking that by moving the trailer.
Well,
think
I would
they could
suggest they move it to the other side and for traffic
Oh,
going
yeah.
going east, coming up towards, this
Yeah.
curve, that be somewhere there where people can see it so they slow down before they start to accelerate.
Did you make that recommendation to the police chief?
I did, and
Okay.
so did my neighbors talk to him too, talk to the mayor. I don't know where that transpired, but, how that
Okay.
happened, but, well, no, I haven't actually talked to him about that, but I'm gonna write an email and suggest that.
Okay.
Because, with the holiday coming up in a few weeks, they really need to look at that.
Sure.
The speed anyhow. I don't know if they've even issued any tickets or anything.
Yeah.
but-
Well, see, the
It's a
council meeting's
safety
next
issue.
week, right? The city council meeting next week. I'm sure you'll be, is that one of the items on the agenda or not? That is
No.
discussed.
No, next week is a special meeting for the budget workshop, and we have a closed
Oh,
session
really?
after that. The monthly regular scheduled council meeting is the week after,
Week afterwards.
Yep.
Okay,
third Tuesday of every month.
okay.
And I don't know what Grandview's doing about their bikes. I haven't observed too many bikes from Grandview yet. I hope that they're kind of holding back on that until after the construction is done, because it's really dangerous.
Well, they probably can't get across because of that roundabout.
Well, that's
Yeah, they can't
what
even
I'm
get there.
wondering too, is they can't get across. So that's good. It's just the speed and I've also observed many people they just kind of roll through the stop signs, but
Yeah.
unless you're sitting right there, there's not much you can do about that. So I guess I just, they like them to take a little bit more
Yeah.
look at the speed.
Okay,
Volume can't control that.
The only
Okay.
other alternative, that's a big one, is to put down some temporary speed bumps. And, they're nasty, but they'll slow people down. Put them down and put a sign.
Even the big trucks that are hauling are going faster than, well, maybe not 30 miles an hour, but I guess 20, what I was told was the signs say 20 miles an hour, but that's not enforceable. That 30, but even some of the, Anderson Brothers trucks are. I live there and I drive up there and I've driven there in 30 miles an hour just to get a sense of what that looks like. So I just don't want somebody. to get
okay.
killed.
Jesse, you think that, that issues like this should be communicated to the city council and the mayor?
I would start with the chief of police and
Chief
bring
of
it
police.
to the chief's attention and
Sounds like that's what.
emails like that, and then any notes like from tonight's meeting.
Okay.
I'm sure Amber will pass along, and if Craig has time,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know they're busy because this is peak season.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
He'll respond if he can.
I
Okay.
mean, it's a difficult situation when we just have to live with it until it's all done. And
Yeah.
so I'm not complaining. I'm just concerned about the safety of people on the road.
Okay, let's move on if there are no other further new discussion on the construction phase. Under new business. You want to give us a brief update on what the Park and Rec Commission, a park commission is planning for a parking lot within the Nisswa Lake Park?
Yeah, so Nisswa Lake Park is considered the trailhead for the Gull Lake Trail. Currently, there is no plan to put in a parking lot.
So
It-
that wasn't that's not in the design? That wasn't,
It is in the design.
Well, so when we went through our master planning process, we did not do any in-depth investigation into Nisswa Lake Park. So what we had designs for were City Park and the Camp Lincoln Road parcels. We do know that the ultimate goal is to try and put in a parking lot at Nisswa Lake Park. And so it is something that is in my capital improvement, and some of those documents that we hold, for our long-range planning. So it is something that is still on our radar.
Okay.
However, it's not something that we're seeing that we're likely going to be able to do in the immediate future.
yeah. Okay, well, okay, Bill.
Yeah, I think we had a little discussion about this a while back. After the DNR clear cut their whole piece and they were supposed to leave a few trees and didn't. It really, the few times that I've gone by over there, I've never seen the DNR parking lot anywhere near full. Maybe I missed, a Memorial Day weekend.
Oh, yeah.
But,
Yeah.
Well,
it really seems like it would be prudent just to hold off on any movement on taking out more trees into the park,
mhm.
into our park. To make room for more vehicles,
Yeah.
and we don't have the DNR lot being utilized completely. And it's all public. I mean, yes, it's the DNR, it's the city and whatever, but it is all public land and public parking. So it seems to me that we should just kind of wait and see how that plays out before we jump.
Right. Well, I agree. I think with the limited amount of acres that we got in that park, I truthfully don't think there should be any more openings, like you said, and also space that would give up green space for the park. So anyhow, I think we've really never talked about it. I just thought we should have an update on what's going on. And for sure, it's the DNR does not want people using the trail to use their public access parking lot. Is that correct?
Yes, the current state of that is that the DNR only wants the parking there to be for the public water access and overflow for the public water access. So it is not identified as a trailhead parking or Nisswa Lake parking or downtown parking. And so that's not to say that in the future, that couldn't be changed.
Sure.
But in terms of creating a separate parking lot for the use of a trailhead on that side of the tunnel, we're likely not going to have the funds to do that in the immediate future.
Okay,
But seems
I
to
don't,
me-
go ahead, Bill.
Yeah, it would seem to me that unless that parking lot starts to fill up, that if the DNR were to somehow or another put up signs, no trail parking or something, that we should appeal it up the chain of command in the DNR and argue the question. And if it's a practical thing, we need the parking, then yes, we need it. But if it's not, if there's openings there 95% of the time, I think we should start appealing up the chain of command in the DNR rather than, city can sit back and say, well, they don't want people there.
Right. Okay, Paula, you had
I
a
was just
question?
to say on behalf of the Park and Rec Committee, which I'm a appointee from that committee to this
Right.
committee. I think that we pretty much consider, and Amber, correct me if I'm wrong, we pretty much consider the Nisswa Lake Park completed at this point.
Yeah, it's at a very good standstill,
Yeah,
functioning how it is.
few
Okay.
little minor improvements here and there,
Mhm.
but, yeah,
Pretty,
I would
pretty much done.
concur.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Any other comments from anyone on the?
I was
that
just gonna
part?
say the Paul Bunyan, not on that, but the Paul Bunyan Trailhead in
Yes,
Nisswa is
right.
also has lots
Yeah,
of parking
correct.
spaces available
true.
most of the time.
Unfortunately, it's a little hard for newcomers to find it, but it's
tricky.
there.
Yeah, it is.
On the Paul Bunyan Trail, the users of the Paul Bunyan are using, city property in different places.
yeah.
And maybe that's a signage issue too,
Yeah,
as
it
we
is.
look at downtown signages to put a sign that
That's a good
says
point.
trailhead parking.
Yeah.
this
Yep.
way.
Okay, we're ready to move into old business. So Amber, how do you want to approach your meeting with the police chief? You want to do it when we get to that point, or you want to say something now?
I'll just do it now. So I was able to meet with the police chief just to make sure that he had a copy of this, that knew that this existed. Talked about just if there's any specific concerns that they had. And they didn't really have any concerns. We talked about that it's probably better off in a policy state as of right now, and that the police should be in charge of enforcing the policy. And so those were kind of the two main thoughts, and they will enforce safety.
So policies are enforceable. Okay. All right, very good. Well, we'll cover that when we get to it in the section. All right, are we ready to dig into the ordinance? I think you've all received my copy of the amendments we made in May, plus my additions since then.
That's what
Um,
this document is.
That's correct. And so, and my suggestions are in blue. The amendments we made last month are in red. So I'm hoping that you've had a chance to look at it and also offer some comments that will be helpful in getting a draft ready to send to the city council so this would not go to the next week's meeting is a special meeting. This would go in front in 2 weeks.
On the 20th,
Doesn't need to go in front of Parks first.
no,
No,
Okay,
we
so
I'd take it directly.
It'll go
directly to council on the
To
20th.
direct-
a week and a half.
Okay, all right. But you said, but it'll go in a packet of
Yes, I have to have my stuff is due on Tuesday to create the packet.
Oh, it has
It's
to go
coming to-
out a week ahead of time, huh?
Yeah,
on the coming Tuesday. Okay, all right. So while we're on that, whatever we finalize tonight, Amber, since the packet goes out on Tuesday, you said the Tuesday, whatever that day, next Tuesday. That means, I would like, I know I would really appreciate seeing a copy just to make sure that I've looked through it and others have looked through it on Monday. Prior to the day before you actually put it in the packet. Is that fair to make sure?
I can certainly give you guys a copy of it when we're ready, but I think we should probably go through the packet tonight to see just how many revisions are actually
Well, yeah.
Okay.
absolutely.
needed. But
Yeah, I
yes,
understand.
at the end of the day, I
Yeah.
will send you what I'm sharing with
Okay.
council, so you guys have a copy of that.
Okay, very good. So, let's try to do my suggested amendments at the same time we look at the draft that does not have my amendment
I
on it.
think, just to say, I just spent a little bit of time before the meeting and I compared your comments to what Amber sent us in the revised. And in most places, they are the same. You've added most of his
Yeah, but I got I got additions.
Okay, but in red, most of those are the ones you had suggested prior to the meeting, or they're from last?
What's in red was
Amber's-
from our
Amber's
last
are-
meeting.
Oh,
Is,
okay,
is,
all
in-
right.
okay,
Thank you.
okay, so is the feeling then we want to call this a policy and not an ordinance at this point?
That would be my recommendation. And then if we
Well, as
need
long- I
to,
don't guess it doesn't make a difference, as long as it's enforceable, that's the main thing, right? Whether, I mean, but you've got it formatted. You've got, I mean, definitions, I don't think have to be in a policy, but they're here. I think definitions have to be in an ordinance. For sure, right?
one thing is helpful
Jenny?
to, yeah,
Pardon? Okay, all right. Okay, so I mean, it'd be very easy to do either. I think what's it's done could even slip it into an ordinance too. I don't understand why was the golf cart policy, I'm sorry, the golf cart an ordinance rather than a policy?
I'm not exactly sure why it became that, but the golf carts are, operating under, rules of the road, and it's the enforcement on it's a misdemeanor fine.
Well, so are these. So any penalty on the trail can be a misdemeanor. That's what
No, like if someone doesn't pick up their,
I'm talking about. If there's like if a golf cart is on the trail.
well, it says in the golf cart ordinance that they're not to be on the trail,
Right.
which is,
Well, it would,
Safety issue back to
Safety
the
issue.
police.
right,
I would also just offer that the city attorney will see this as part of the
Okay.
council packet.
good.
And if the attorney has feedback, as in this should be an ordinance or some other specific,
Sure.
he will definitely let us know.
Okay.
So
Great.
if that's helpful.
Okay,
So
thanks, Jen.
I think just,
Yep.
yeah, from a content perspective, that's where it would be good to make sure the language is how you'd like to see it. And we can make sure if the attorney is in agreement on
Okay,
the
good.
policy versus
Yep.
ordinance.
Okay, that's fair. Okay, so we'll delete anything in blue in the ordinance will come out of it. Okay, so the stuff in red, we've already, that's the changes we made last time. Is there any need to review those?
No, I don't think
I
so.
don't think so. Okay, so so the first item that I have, is there anyone that has any comments on the pages down to number 2, trail uses?
This is just nitpicky, but just definitions. Is that Roman numeral 1 and then should be bolded so that it has a flow like an outline? Because
Good, yeah, definition should be a Roman numeral one.
so it stands out
'Cause,
and it looks like the rest of the headings.
Yeah, because trail uses is Roman numeral number 2.
okay, so purpose is listed as 1. Do you want definitions as 2 and then so on and so forth?
It is,
Or do you want
it is on the screens. The
Oh,
ones
I
in front of
see.
you. are-
purpose is
Oh,
bolded?
okay, got it.
Oh, it's not on this. I'm
Yep,
sorry.
right.
I was
The one that
wanting
is
to
in
see
front of
that.
us
Thank you.
includes.
Purposes, got it, okay.
Thank you, Jesse.
You
My-
still want
this
it-
is bothering me.
You still want it bolded as a subcategory?
I think it would be good to bold it. yeah.
Okay.
Okay, good catch, Tessa. Anything else before we get to Roman numeral number 2? If not, trail uses. I do have a change in that, or a suggestion in that first sentence. Under trail uses, I would, rather than we're talking about this, the city council delegates, okay, and I'd rather see the word scratch enforce and put in carry out this policy. The city council can't enforce.
No, but they're delegating to city staff, which would be,
Well, city staff can't enforce.
but the police
police can.
department.
Well,
By the.
yeah,
That's
agree.
By the city.
That's not what it says in the packet. draft that we received, the amended packet draft. It says the city of Nisswa, City Council delegates to city staff the responsibility to carry out any and all tasks necessary. So it does say carry out.
He's looking at the second one,
Second one.
necessary to implement and enforce this policy.
Out and carry out. That's my only brief, is it's the same word, two words, same sentence.
Well, no, I'm confused.
Yeah, it's confusing.
I'm looking on my phone here at your packet that you sent out and it
Mhm.
has the trail it has the trail policy with red in it. So is that different than what we're looking at here?
Yes.
Yes,
Because
so
we're
what's
looking
on the
at-
screen is what was in the packet. What you have printed in front of you are Roger's comments.
But his comments are about this word enforce. The paragraph already reads in the one in your packet, carry out.
Right, so essentially, we're,
Yeah, okay, so I didn't see the other carry out. You're right, there's two carry outs in that sentence. But is there another word we could use rather than, that kind of means the same thing rather than force?
Sure.
What? Sure, that means what? What would you like to
Let
suggest?
me look it up.
Siri
Okay.
will tell us.
Administer?
sure, or
Sure.
just remove.
Execute.
Or just remove the word enforce entirely, so we'll just say necessary to implement this policy.
That's even better.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody go along with that?
Yep.
Okay, good,
Yes.
good,
Less can sometimes be more.
good catch, Jesse. Okay, we're ready to, let's see. I think if no one else has anything, my next new comments are under, D. Where it talks about, second, paragraph of golf carts.
Amber, could you scroll down? just a little bit?
Golf carts are prohibited from using the tunnel. And I would like to add and switchback ramp.
I don't see an issue with that. Specific,
It's fine.
Would you like that for both golf cart and snowmobiles?
yeah,
Yeah.
I would say.
Switchback handicap ramp or
Not everybody knows what a switchback is, but ramp is fairly descriptive.
Ramp,
switchback
ramp.
ramp.
Okay, so what do we end up with?
Taking your suggestion and switchback ramp
Okay,
for the cart ordinance and then also adding it for snowmobile,
Mhm.
okay,
making it uniform.
yep,
Yep.
okay,
The snowmobiles yet? I have a comment. I think.
we're talking about D now, under
D,
D,
yeah.
okay,
Okay, we're limiting electric bikes to 20 miles an hour. We're limiting single-use electric devices to 15 miles an hour. I think the state statute says something about snowmobiles can run 50 miles an hour. Because we see that, and I mean, they don't pay attention to it on the Paul Bunyan, I'll guarantee you that, but, I think we've got a real situation where we're very likely to have some snowmobiles, even if it's not a designated trail, which hopefully it won't be. But we're gonna have some snowmobiles using this to get to a designated trail. So they're gonna be operating on the Gull Lake Trail at some point or another. I think we can almost say that 100%. So I would think that we would want to put a speed limit of 20 miles an hour on the Gull Lake Trail for snowmobiles, so similar to what we've got for bikes. And I think that would help, especially where the trail is very close to residential housing.
Yeah, I would concur with that.
the way that the DNR, states it in their their rules, they'll say like, give an example of 50 miles an hour or as posted,
Mhm.
meaning it could be lower. In their case, it could be lowered 50. What in our case, we put 20 miles an hour or as posted.
Could do that. Yeah.
What if we have so much snow they can't see the signs?
Well, I don't know. Need to worry about that one. I don't know. Signs are. I don't know.
We had
I
the
don't know.
rain ditches.
I don't know how they're, I think,
We can post off of that.
I think it's right now, we need to make sure we got the right, the right wordage right in here. So, okay, so Bill, that's an excellent point. That's because it's not, there's no, within this policy, it's not stated, is it?
So Bill's correct in how he's referencing that. So the state statute that's referenced here does say 50 miles an hour. And unless posted and as conditions allow. So that is subjective. It is not a marked trail route, so we do not have snowmobile trail signs on it, so it's kind of considered a ditch riding because you're riding in the right of way. So we can certainly add a speed limit sign to post it. But what it's referencing here is kind of what was stated with the 50 miles an hour unless posted as conditions allow. I would say that if we want to enforce a lower speed, then we would need to, post it. Just writing it in here is not sufficient, in my opinion.
Agree with that.
Speaking as someone who lives in a residential area where the snowmobiles are gonna go past. And that's gonna be true on Hazelwood.
It will also be very difficult for the police
Yeah.
to try and track down a snowmobile.
Right.
The way I see this becomes the basis for the posting. In other words, rather than having to go to the DNR statute and then from there making probably a council decision to say, yes, that should be posted at 20. Maintenance go out and post it at 20. This becomes the root that says.
Correct.
It's 20, and if we put a sign up, it says 20.
Yep.
So you're suggesting, Bill, it should be included in
I
here.
think it should be.
I'm saying it just can't only be in here. It has to be
Mhm.
a physical sign on the trail.
Okay, so how does everybody feel? Does everybody feel that we want to put that in the policy? Bill's suggestion?
Well, I'm in favor of it, if it
Okay,
provides the basis for the future
for
posting.
posting. Jesse?
It definitely needs to have clear delineation from the road speed to the trail speed.
Okay,
and making sure
So
that there's not gonna be any confusion.
okay, all right.
I just don't know what trail speed limit signs would exactly look like. Especially one being so close to a road such as
Smaller.
Roy Lake. Smaller, of course, but
But yeah, I don't know if it has to be a specific color or shape
Right,
or
I just haven't seen.
things
it,
like
so.
that.
Yeah.
We can include the verbiage in here and have the groundwork for physical implementation at a later date.
Yeah, let's
Good.
do it. That's okay. Tessa, how do you feel? You feel it should go in?
Yeah, I'm
Okay,
fine with it.
all right. So we'll add that.
Do you want me to list an exact speed or just as posted on the trail?
I would say as posted on the
posted
trail.
on
As posted?
Yep.
We like the blanket
Speed limit.
terminology.
You brought up another point, Bill, though, when you said that we are allowing bicycles to be 20 miles an hour, electronic e-bikes, but other motorized not, only 15. Is that gonna create confusion if we have two different limits in there?
Yeah, it's the way it's written currently.
And that is based off of just the information I found on state statute.
Yeah,
But
That's
we know
right.
that some of those single user devices can cruise.
yeah.
So
Yeah, that is
certainly change
confusing
that
at
as well.
this point. Good point, but yeah, getting back to the snowmobile thing, now keep in mind, this trail is not gonna be groomed, and therefore they're not gonna be, let's face it, the Paul Bunyan Trail is like a super lane highway when it gets groomed and they can go much faster. This trail hopefully will never get groomed, and therefore that will help keep the speed limit down.
Well,
But-
keep in mind though, too, it's gonna get used for snowmobiles because the trees have been cleared out now and there's a clear path in the easement all the way around Lower Roy Lake Road. That there were trees there that prevented them from going in some of the ditches, but now they've got an open pathway to
Yeah,
cruise on.
okay, are we ready to move on?
Okay, so where did we end up? Are we gonna put the
Oh,
20 in here or not?
Read what?
As posted.
As posted, it'll give us the ability to subject to what this.
Yes.
I would like to go back to putting the 20 in,
You want to put the 20?
because we've listed it for other vehicles, for electric
Yeah,
bikes.
we're being
I think
consistent.
to be consistent, I think we should put it in.
Okay. All right, I go along with that. Jesse, how do you feel about putting us?
So does that mean- Does that mean that there'll be two different speed limits posted, one for golf cart and then one for snowmobile, technically?
Golf carts aren't going to be on the trail.
Yeah, there's no speed limit for the
Different.
golf cart.
But-
That's just written in the ordinance.
There'll be a golf cart on that
I
trail.
know,
Yeah, that's what.
but we hopefully will be putting no.
And-
Speed limit golf carts are 20 miles an hour too.
And yeah, and I mean, it's just ceteris paribus. A golf cart will go on that trail. We all know that it will at some point. Yeah,
Right.
none of us want it. We're not encouraging it by any means, but if we have a
Exactly.
speed limit that's posted. An interpretation of that, say Grandview gets into the business of renting golf carts for. Community use, through their properties, and they start to,
They already do.
well, I mean, sure, so then if we have posted, that's.
So my suggestion is we make everything 20 miles an hour and we post it as 20 miles an hour.
I think I go along with that.
I'm-
Let's
I'm
keep
good with that.
everything consistent.
So
Yeah.
single user
Agree.
electric
Yes.
devices, I will bump to 20.
20 miles.
Golf carts are 20, not allowed on the trail. Golf carts
Got
are
it.
20 still though, on the
All right,
road.
20 miles.
It's damage control, I guess,
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
okay,
And
we're,
it's good because if the snowmobile club does come to us, and they should, present something, then we can say this policy says no, and it's gonna be posted 20 miles an hour, and they can communicate that to their members.
well,
and
Yeah,
find
that's-
another route because they don't like it.
it's DNR, if it becomes a grant and aid trail, if they want to use part of the Gull Lake Trail because they got some landowner somewhere else has told them they can't go, and now we got to use the Gull Lake Trail. It becomes a part of the grant and aid, the DNR grant and aid trail, which means my question then is it DNR regulations when it becomes a DNR groomed snowmobile trail?
Well, right now, there's no one asking to groom the
Right.
trail. So I say, let's kind of table that
Yeah,
until there's
That's a good point. Okay.
specifics to talk about.
So are
Okay.
we gonna put 20 miles an hour and everything, or we just say as posted?
20 miles an hour for everything.
Putting
Okay.
20 miles an hour in. Okay,
Okay.
okay,
Change it.
that was D. Under number 2, trail uses. Horseback riding looks fine, no changes there. The next section, I need to spend some time with you on my suggestions.
Section 3, protection of trails and users.
We're still in section 2.
Oh.
Still in section 2. Okay, in your packet is a single page, this page here. Yeah. That's correct. Forget about what I've, forget about my earlier draft. I got looking at rules. We're into Amber calls them traffic control, but they're really trail rules.
That's state statute
And
is what's written there.
well, we could call them trail rules also, because I've looked at other other policies, ordinance, and they use trail rules. If we want to call them traffic control, fine. The main thing is that you've got some in here and I've got some, and I would like to combine them into the document you have in front of you. So my proposal is under 2F, call them trail rules, traffic control, whatever. But I would like to, under those items, under that section, use 1 through 12, and that comes out of Bike Minnesota organization. And we certainly should identify where we got that source. And delete A through D. It's in the draft at this point. Because in A, you'll see that in number 9 of what I've added. Okay? Does everybody see that?
Mhm.
All trail signs shall be obeyed. If you go to 9, it says, obey all traffic signals, signs and signals at road crossings. Obey all trail signs and signals at road crossing. So it's got an additional clause in there, road crossing. Under B that I suggested that we delete, it's really the same as number 1. With
Okay.
additions.
Got a question. Kind of a basic question. These are kind of like rules of the road.
Rules of the road, correct.
Do they belong in a policy that's going to be enforced by the city?
Yeah, that's a good question. The reason why I put these in here, because I looked at others, Bill, ordinances and policies, where they've identified these.
Okay, but let's take the top one there, always wear a helmet. It's a great idea. I usually do, unless I have to give it to somebody else. But is this gonna be something the police are gonna?
No,
enforce?
no, I'm just saying this is what we're suggesting. It's a suggestion. Obviously, it can't be enforced. It's just these are basic rules of the road that you see a lot of places in ordinance policies or whatever.
I think
It's confusing. It sounds like it's a rule that we're going to enforce. If
I
we
don't
remove
look
that
at-
language. I'm not
I don't
saying
look at none of these as enforceable. It's just,
it's a rule. I'm a rule
Okay.
follower.
okay, then let's call it something else.
when I look at this list, I think it's all great ideas. And what I see from it, it's a sign, it's an infographic. This is the marketing material that I work off of to help educate children, families. This is the pretty pictures and the diagrams.
Put a sign at the trailhead
Um,
or put it in a kiosk.
Yep,
or
it's the
put it-
sign at the trailhead, whereas this is the pertinent safety things that the city will enforce is. kinda
Well,
how I
all
look
I'm
at it.
saying is I've seen these in other, because I spent some time looking at other ordinances and policies, and I know you have too, but I see it, the Sabi Trail, for example, has both. They have this inserted right in their
Sure.
ordinance.
So it's up to us how we want ours to look. It's great information. But again, to the point, is it confusing for readers as an enforceable thing or not? Is, I guess, the question that I'm hearing right now.
I think we could put it in there. We just need to take the rules, just maybe safety.
How about
recommendations or
guidelines?
would be a good word.
Guidelines.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay?
Guidelines for the trail.
Okay,
Yeah.
guidelines. We'll use guidelines.
That's a good word. Rules is confusing.
Perfect.
Okay, so if we add the 12 that comes out of the Bike Minnesota organization. And then and looking at the what's in the draft at this point. I went to section 3, protection of trails, and found a statement that really is kind of in the same reads the same way as these other 12. It's so if you go to 3 Roman numeral 3, protection of trails, and go down to E. I've deleted some of that sentence, but the main point is we want bikes, user devices, and snowmobiles must be under the control of the operator at all time.
I'm sorry, I'm confused. Where are you referring to on your page?
Okay, so I'm
I
saying,
see E here, and you're suggesting safety. Where is it on this rules sheet?
okay, it's the bottom one.
I believe,
13.
yeah, so we're.
13. Yeah,
we're at
I
the
would
next
add
one.
13 to it.
Yep, we're at section 3, Roman numeral 3. Protection of trails and use, number E, he's proposing scrapping it, correct?
Oh.
And
okay.
because it will be included in the guidelines.
It's a guideline,
Yeah.
right?
Yep,
So
so,
let's take it out of where it is
You're not
now and put it up to a
suggesting that we
guideline.
should scrap A, B, C.
Yes, I am.
Well,
Yeah, I'm saying we're going to take out what I got deleted there because there's some of them redundant
mhm.
and some of them most of them are,
But do you
Redundant.
address somewhere this whole thing about the city requires a clear zone?
No, Roger,
obstructions?
what you're recommending is that from 3E under safety, the first sentence, while being written or operated, you're recommending that one sentence goes under the guidelines of the trail.
yeah.
And
Just
that
the way
we
I've
still
got it.
keep in environment, signposting, obstructions, all of those stay in under 3A through D.
Now I'm not following you.
Well, that was my question too. Were you suggesting that we get rid of A, B, C, and D, and E as written and include
What
those
are we
all
talking
in the-
about under number 2, trail uses?
3.
No, we're
Oh,
talking about three.
Well, we're not even on 3 yet.
We are. We're talking
We're
about your
under
rules.
trail, we're on Roman numeral 2, trail uses.
Your sheet here
Yeah.
with the rules refers to section number 3.
Okay, so the guideline, okay, we're talking about the guidelines now, right? Under 2F. We're going to put, see, we're at the point, we're
No, I'm
jumping the
very
gun here.
confused what you're
We're, as we come down here, we are under F, 2F, traffic control. We're gonna change it to guidelines.
So,
Okay,
but
and we're
are
gonna
these the
insert-
guidelines? But
These are the guidelines,
but you have them labeled here as 2F. Okay,
2F, not 3.
all right. I have cataracts. I better get them fixed.
Amber, you with me?
Yeah.
Okay. Bill? There,
So you're gonna.
okay,
What we just talked about and put it in under 2L.
2F, we're gonna call them guidelines.
They're gonna go down and pull up
And we're gonna pull also then that one and third,
3E.
yes, we're gonna pull it up into
First-
guidelines
first
also.
sentence.
Well, part of the first, it's gonna read bikes, single user devices and snowmobiles must be under the control of the operator all time. Just part of that statement. Okay. So, okay, are we clear on that? Is everybody go along? We're gonna change the guidelines? Good. Now, we're ready to move on then to G, pets.
I've got a issue,
Under G, pets,
under G.
okay,
I don't think the rule is written. I've had 2 experiences in the last 3 days with dogs when we were walking on a trail. One was down in Eden Prairie, one was close to my house on the Ball Bunyan. One down Eden Prairie, a pit bull was jumping all over Gene, and these people were trying to control, and they had a leash up. But the thing was so dang long. that-
Yeah, flexi leash.
Well, I don't know what. it
30,
is.
50, come in
They
15 and
couldn't
30
get the
footers.
thing pulled back.
Yeah, don't have time.
And then just 2 days ago, we were walking and some little thing about this big was on one of your flexi leashes. It was about 10 feet. The person got on the other side of the trail. Gene got on the opposite side of the trail, which is 10 feet wide. And this dog was jumping all over and this person was trying to pull it back and it wouldn't come. I mean. So I think we need to say, we have to put a limit like 6 feet, and you suggested that, I think. at
6
some
foot leads
discussion.
are standard.
Or it has to be grabbed by the collar when people pass. I mean, the dog issue is, people say, well, don't worry, he's.
He's friendly.
Yeah, right. So somehow or another, we need to limit this. It's gotten a little out of hand.
Okay, so Bill's proposing that we include a length of a leash on G. Does everybody agree with this? Okay, if you were to go into a store that sells dog equipment, leashes is pretty common item in there. One of the standard leash, distances 6 feet.
Okay.
So,
Encourage to
Okay.
be held on a 6-foot leash.
Yeah, I don't know how you would enforce it, but
Well-
I don't like it either. I hate it. I hate people who don't
It
control
will
their dogs,
happen.
but because I've been knocked over while I was cross-country skiing before. Dog. Like, how
so,
does this happen?
should we,
Should not.
you're right, we can't
Anyway.
enforce that. Should, like Jesse, suggested, should we use the word encourage or just insert the word 6 foot leash and leave that statement as is?
And put it in as a rule.
No, you mean, how would, so what are you recommending as other than
Leash no longer than 6 feet.
no longer than, should remain on the leash under control of the owner? So you're saying no longer than 6 feet and under control, and the rest of it,
And under the control. of the
okay.
owner.
No long, so he's saying no longer than 6 feet. Okay,
Okay.
Tessa's frowning, doesn't like it.
I agree with I just don't think you can enforce it. So, I
No.
mean, you can encourage it, but I
Well,
don't know, putting it in
that's-
as a rule, I just don't, because everybody has one of those leashes and
When
it's
the
in
next
here when
person
it
gets-
says under control of the owner at all times. They should be having that leash shortened before that person comes upon you, but that's just. I totally get what you're saying, but I just don't know. Cause I feel the same way.
Okay, comments from Paula,
Yep, fine.
6 foot,
Yeah.
no longer
I
than 6
agree with
foot?
Tessa, it's not gonna be.
I agree.
Enforceable. and-
Except, right,
No,
but we
and it's
need
still
to,
gonna happen.
we need to say something. Okay,
Sure.
6 foot's going in.
At least then if somebody, if you know about this and it happens, you can say, remind them.
Yeah.
Rules of the,
And I'm assuming somewhere along the trail, we'll put a sign that'll say, a sign will go out, maybe 1 or 2 signs that'll say pets on, whatever the common sign says, pets on leash. remember what it-
We're not there yet.
We're not there yet. Okay, all right, okay, so are we ready to move on? Okay. So the next. Unless anyone else has got any other additions or corrections, I'm ready to go to 3. Roman numeral 3. And talk about we've covered, okay, so B, let's see,
E, F,
D, where refuge, okay, we've got rules of the road, so we, that's crossed out, we've made that correction, we're taking the guidelines, so that E that's there is taken care of, right?
Okay,
The next line is public safety.
okay, I've got a question on firearms.
Yes,
It says, are we gonna leave in something about firearms, no rifle, shotgun, bow and arrow and so forth? Are you gonna leave that in E? And if so, then I think we should just say shotgun and not put shotgun with slug, which would imply that you could shoot bird shot across the trail.
Uh,
No firearm is a blanket.
Mhm.
no firearms, take care of that, Bill.
No firearms would work, sure.
Yeah.
Except it says right now, it says no rifle.
No,
shot-
no, that's been
shotgun-
scratched.
Okay, you
That's
scratched
deleted.
that.
Yeah, the next, if
Okay,
you're looking at the,
He's looking at the document that was provided in the packet.
yes, okay, so Amber, correct me, the next paragraph, it says public safety. Should that be E? Now?
Yes.
Okay, everybody with us?
Yep.
Okay, so public safety, and that's talking about firearms, is now an E, okay? The next item is F, enforcement. Okay, does everybody agree with that statement?
Do you want that as F or do you want to keep that under responsibility?
I guess I would prefer it, I would prefer it singled out by itself,
I think so.
as well as penalties.
I like it.
G. I suggest that enforcement be F and G would be penalties, and I've stated that use the same statement as in the golf cart ordinance.
The golf cart ordinance is a misdemeanor.
Well, are you saying any of these cannot be a misdemeanor?
That's probably for the city attorney to
Okay, good
vet
point.
that.
All right, that's a good point. So let's ask him. So penalties is under review. Okay, very good. Settles that. Okay, so that was, let's see, forget about rules of the road. We.
Wait, can I'm not clear. You guys do want enforcement as F?
Yes.
Correct.
Okay.
Does it need to say Nisswa Trail User Policy / ordinance, if we're calling it a policy?
Oh, yeah, we
Scratch
can
out
scratch the ordinance. Yep. Good catch. Okay, so now we're ready for Roman numeral 4, responsibilities. Amber, is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I have a comment.
Okay, all right.
I think we could say the city is responsible for trail maintenance, period. I would like to see everything after that where it says and not remove snow along the treadway due to allowed use of snowmobiles eliminated. I think we're getting into another area as to usage on it. I think the city is responsible for maintenance and just stop
Period.
at that point. Homeowners may decide, and there should not be against the city policy to, if the homeowners decide to open up a piece of it for walking in the winter time or whatever the case might be, so.
Okay, Bill's made his point. Jesse, what do you think?
I guess I'm good either which way. I don't have an opinion on the matter,
Okay,
really.
Tessa?
So I think you're saying just keep it simple, that cities
City's
responsible
gonna-
for all maintenance,
City's gonna
period.
maintain it, whatever the
That's-
maintenance policy is. at the
Sounds
time.
good to me.
They
Okay.
decide to clear it, they can clear it.
Yep. Paula?
Yeah, I'm fine with shortening
Yeah,
it up
too.
because I think the rest of that statement's worded
Yeah.
kind of.
Well,
awkwardly.
I agree with Bill suggestion. And the other thing, if we're identifying a specific maintenance job or we're identifying a specific task here of not removing snow. If we're going to identify snow, then we should talk about summer, and there's no need to do that. So why put it in, right? Okay, so we agree. All right, so that comes out. All right. Okay, then, I've included that further down that page, identifying complaints and appeals and ending with effective dates. Those are the last two items. How does everybody feel about that? Jesse, you feel they're okay to put in?
I will say that we have a process for doing complaints, so anyone that has a complaint within Nisswa follows the same process. And so I don't know if it necessarily needs to be in the policy. It can always be written on the website, but generally people call and they'll be directed as to how to file their complaint.
Agreed. It's just a blanket process, I guess, to cover all.
Agree, but this makes it more a complete policy that you've put in. I guess,
Well,
because I've seen this in other communities put in the complaints and appeals in their policy and guidelines. So I'm just
think-
saying, others have done it. It seems natural to put it in there.
we could include it in there, just outline the current established process for filing a complaint through the.
Oh,
city.
just make that statement.
Just, yes, reiterating
Ah,
the
okay.
actual complaint process. I'm not talking about full blown elimination of it.
Rather than
Should be there.
identifying
Yeah.
specifically who they need to direct
Well,
their.
and I don't think you want to include somebody's email in a policy.
all right.
Staff changes and,
Point.
Good point. All right, I'd go
Domain
along with
change-
Jesse's
changes.
recommendation. Bill, you
Domain
you
changes.
support that? Okay. And effective dates, that's pretty common. Any issues with that?
Cross out ordinance again, this policy.
Ah, ordinance cross out, yes. Okay. Is that it?
Think so?
Amber, you got any? Think you got it?
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you for all your time that you put
6
into this.
o'clock, we did it in a freaking hour. That's scary.
Well, we're not done with the agenda yet.
Yeah, I know, but that was the hard part. Okay, what else we got? Girl, use a I mean, we've, Amber and I talked about what's the chances of the snow, the Gull Lake drifters coming in and needing to use part of the Gull Lake Trail because they've been cut off and they now need it. And Amber's saying the only potential is not going to happen for a while.
Well, the conversation came up mostly as an inquiry to find out if snowmobiles are allowed on it. And it was in response to some identified spots where they cross 371 near Subway in the western side of that road. So they're just mostly seeking information to help them figure out what maybe future options might be. So that was my recommendation to them, is that they kind of within their organization work together to vet possible routes, and if and when that time comes, they need to bring it to the city to present some plans and options.
Yeah. Okay, so let's not worry about it at this point. Okay, we haven't talked about an issue that you and I've talked about, and we were going to include it in it. And getting back to the trail signs, we've talked a little bit about trail signs. So Amber indicates that within the engineering trail plan, there's a section that has identified where, as she's got up there, where the signs that they're going to, that's part of the plan, where they're going to install. That's going to be the engineer's responsibility. And I guess I would like to see this this committee kind of review, because they might be missing some signs that we might want to suggest. So can you somehow, email, can you
I
take
don't-
out that section and send it to us?
I'm struggling to figure out what signs you were thinking you might want to add at this
Sure.
time.
Okay,
So if you could help me understand that,
Yeah.
then it might be easier for me to help figure out a plan, because what's in here is all like the pertinent signs of stop signs, yield signs, directional arrows, the road signs, things like that. So it'd be helpful for me to understand what other kinds of signs you think you might need. We've already identified speed limits.
yep,
And then part of it, if there's other types of signs, we might want to just see how the trail functions. So we know where we want to put identified signs.
If
Instead of
we
trying to
had more-
guess on the front end.
if we had more signs, then do you submit those to the engineer and they will put them up? That's gonna. be
No,
the
I
city's
can just go
responsibility?
right to a sign company, find a sign, get a post and pound it in with a locate.
Bill?
I assume that. You know, offhand is, was the contract bid is a unit price contract with like specific prices for signs or?
I don't know offhand.
Looked at that in at all, but that would make a difference as to whether you wanted to talk to the contractor about it or whether you just wanted to go ahead and do it through the cities. If it's a lump sum type of contract. It wasn't, I don't think completely, but I think it's like, it was signed with signage as designed or whatever, as a lump sum price. Getting in and disturbing that under the contract probably is not a good idea. You're probably better off ordering them and putting them up to the city. Putting them up.
Right.
If it's per sign or something or other, then possibly if the price is good, you could go ahead and talk to them. about
If there's something within these signs that needs to be adjusted, we can easily do that within the contract. It's just if we're gonna start making new signs, I think we can do that down the road when we need to and identify a problem and address it.
Less you disturb the contract, the better off. we
Yeah.
are.
Okay, so you want some examples? Of signs that, because I don't know there, but I'm just gonna give you some signs that are not the traditional stop and yields, although I got some questions about some places that may or may not need yields, and I won't know those until I actually see where they're located. But are there any no parking signs on the engineer's plan?
Where would a no parking sign need to go?
Along the trail right away where it's nice and grassy and there could be places, and I'm thinking maybe on those places would be on off streets of the trail close by.
How about, I just get an example of what your ideas are and then, I can kind of sit with it, because I think we're gonna get a little too far into the details here.
Okay.
We're just,
I would actually, I have a suggestion, perhaps we have the contractor go through what they're being contracted for, the exact signage and locations, and if we have any post-construction suggestions towards the end of this, towards our section being completed, then we can, do a run through and provide any suggestions. Otherwise, we can go down a rabbit hole of adding a ton of additional signing across, unless you have anything in particular, which.
Well,
she's
I do,
stating.
I have specific site, but without seeing the plan, I don't know what's on the plan.
Maybe Amber, you'd be able to share what the signage plan.
yeah, this is it. You're looking at it. Like I said, you got stop signs, stop ahead, road signs, no motor vehicles. Trail crossing, stop ahead. You got your bike going down a hill sign, turn ahead.
Question, how about a caution trail ahead? I'm thinking of the new Grandview development. There's two roads that go in and out of there, right? Of the North Pines development. There's two roads.
Yeah.
What signs are at that point?
Well, that's a Grandview property.
Grandview,
Yeah.
but it crosses the trail. So are those gonna, when those at that property, when those two roads come in and out of there.
They do have trail
Is there
crossing.
gonna be stop signs?
No,
for the-
they do have trail crossing signs. This is Grandview's right here. Let me see if I can move it
I think
without
They should be a stop sign.
losing.
You're just gonna go
Yeah, it
across
should
the-
be,
They're
but
gonna
it-
go across the road, just like any other road that they. would
This is
cross.
also adhering to like the, the recommended, I'm gonna lose the words here. Bike, like trail standards. Right? So this is the crossing of the Grandview. You have,
that's just one. There's two.
Yep,
there's
they're the
two
same.
grids. Okay.
you have a stop ahead for the trail, you have a stop sign for the trail, you have a no motor vehicle sign upon crossing the trail. You have a trail crossing ahead as you go into the property, you have a trail crossing sign as you go out towards the property, and the same thing on
Okay.
the other side.
All right, great. That's great. That's all I need to know. That one's covered. I appreciate it, because I was wondering how they were gonna cover that one. Okay? Bill?
Roger. I suggest we follow along with what Jesse is saying, let them get the signs up.
Sure.
Look at it. It's really hard
Yeah.
to get a mental image off of a plan.
Yeah, that's true.
As to what the impact of what you're seeing,
Yeah.
going to see out there
Yeah.
visibly.
We'll see how good of a biker you are, Roger, when you got a pen and paper in your hand while you're riding down the trail for the first time.
Okay.
Will they be erecting this signage yet this year?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll.
Remind me, what's the completed date on this portion?
Substantially completed, they're estimating around August,
Okay. Like
give or take.
mid-August-ish?
September, I think they had a few lingering things that would have to go through Lakeshore. But I believe Nisswa's portion is. Good chunk of it will be done by August,
Plenty of
or
time
in
to-
August.
Okay, so I do suggest that one of our other responsibilities than what we're doing today is take a look at the signage. And I agree that let it go up and review it. The other concern I have is I think that this committee should also be involved with the kiosk that hopefully will go up somewhere in the pocket park, in that grassy area. And I realize that the park commission would be involved with kiosks there too, but I'm hoping that we will have some input into what a kiosk needs for the Gull Lake Trail. At that point, I'm assuming that's where that'd be the most lodge. Is everybody know where I'm talking about? That little rectangle grassy area in the park, I believe is a good place to put a kiosk.
The kiosk down in the Lakeside Park that we put in.
So part
A
of
very
it
nice
is
kiosk.
Okay.
identified in our Parks and Rec master plan is to improve our wayfinding signage. So that is something that I will be working on over the winter to bring to the Parks Commission, because it's going to be system wide. A lot of what we've discussed here already are considerations that will be brought to the Parks Commission with that. Things that would be the directional signs routing people to the DNR parking lot. It's a kiosk in Pocket Park. I will say we're not that far along on determining locations. We haven't determined locations. We haven't even gotten down to any content or anything of that nature. And so certainly if it's something that this committee wants to stay involved in, then I would suggest then you participate in the Parks Commission meetings, because it will route through them as a citywide, system-wide initiative.
I think maybe what you're thinking, Roger, is that because we're the trailhead of the whole Gull Lake Trail,
Right.
that there needs to be some
Yeah.
adequate signage that isn't just about Nisswa,
Exactly.
but shows the whole
The whole
trail
trail.
system. Because
And all the
people-
key points along the way, the state forest, the major, maybe the resorts along the way. And maybe we can get these kiosks paid for if we design it so that advertisement would pay for it.
And all I'm
just
saying is,
saying-
we're just not
Okay.
we're not there yet, but I get what you're saying to have it.
But we need to be involved in the information that goes on the kiosk that's specifically related to the Gull Lake Trail, not necessarily in Nisswa, but the whole 20
Yeah.
miles.
I concur, but you know, when we get to that point.
Okay,
This
got
winter,
okay, fair enough.
like Amber said, the committee, I mean, I'm part of the park committee,
Yep.
so I'll be there. But should be invited to those discussions.
Sure.
So it's not
Yeah,
discuss it at the
Right.
park committee and then bring it over to this committee and then come back.
yeah.
Just
and
invite you to be a part of that.
Because
whole
not
discussion.
everybody on this committee probably wants to be involved with design of a kiosk. I'm guessing. I personally would like to be involved with that. And so I would go to the park. meetings. Okay, is there anything else that we need to discuss tonight? Have we covered everything, Amber?
I think we're good.
Yep.
Okay, appreciate everybody's attention
So the
and
plan is, Amber, that you will try to get these new additions or corrections.
I will work
made.
on it on Monday and
Okay,
then
great.
send it out what I
Appreciate it.
have ready for city council.
all right, thank you very much. We appreciate your efforts and I think we all have a very complete trail. Guess we want to call it a policy.
Motion to adjourn?
Second? Don't need a second. Okay, thanks, everyone.